Um, so Camilla is headliner for our Creative Voices program. I'd like to welcome Camilla. We do have another speaker next week. You'll be notified about the date. Yeah, if you could all make sure your microphones are off until we get into the, we'll have a bit of a Q&A at the end. So if you hang on to those questions just until Camilla's finished, that would be really helpful. So just to introduce Camilla, Camilla is an award-winning senior art director based in New York, working at McCann. Was previously at Publicis. So she's actually joining us early morning in New York. And is also a writer of How to Pimp Your Portfolio. And she's previously worked at DiMassimo Goldstein, Olmat BBDO, Havas Worldwide, and DDB Sao Paulo. So I'll hand over to you, Camilla.
Awesome, thank you.
The floor is yours, that's all right.
I'm going to share my screen and then we can get started. Awesome. So I'm super excited to be here. Thank you everyone for joining. As Mark said, I'm Camila Tipina. I'm based in New York, but I'm from Brazil. So shout out to all the Brazilians here. So that's always good to see it. So during the day, I'm a publicist art director. I'm a McCann Associate Creative Art Director, which means I'm basically art directing, right? The fancy associate creative is just a fancy name. So put that on the side. I basically create campaigns during the day, and during at night, I'm a pimp. That's basically it. I have a project called Pimp My Portfolio, which is basically my side hustle, my business. So what do? Is I revamp people's portfolio presentations so you guys can land a job. That started back when I was in ed school in 2016. I love stalking people professionally on LinkedIn. That was my favorite thing to do. I just like Google people and stalk their portfolios pretty deep. And then I realized I love websites. I love portfolios. I love helping people land a job, and I love recruitment. So I decided to create a portfolio project called Pin My Portfolio. That is it. It's been my baby since 2016. This year, actually last week, I did 700 portfolios. I finished my 700 website, which is pretty amazing. So with that, I do know a little bit about portfolios. So that's why I'm here to give you some tips. And please make sure you come with questions in the end, because I love answering questions. And if you don't want to hold it until the end, please make sure you put it on the chat, and then I'll make sure I'll answer everything. So our portfolios is our first contact with the agency. That's the scary part, because you send via email, right? You're not there on the other side to defend your work, to walk them through your work. So you drop the link via email and you hope for an answer, right? And that's the scary part. Even today, I've been to so many portfolio reviews, so many interviews, and I still feel afraid of hit the send button on my email. Whoops. Because you never know if the recruiter is going to answer. That's the scary part, how to make the recruiters answers, and if the creative directors is going to like it. So that's why your portfolio needs to be well presented, because the first impression is what matters. So it's the first less than 5 seconds that they land on your website. If it's not organized and it's not easy to find information, they're going to back out. They're not going to stay on. So that's why it needs to be well presented, because the first 5 seconds that they land on your website, it's crucial. So that's why I'm here for. So after 700 portfolios pimped, I know a thing or two of how to make the recruiter stay. And trust me, even on my personal portfolio, I use it as a trial. So every now and then I change the layout and I send to a recruiter. If I get 10 emails that I got ghosted, I may think something is off. So I try to tweak a little bit. So even I have that. So all good. So here's what I've learned. Don't overthink it, just do it. Sometimes as a creative, we think too much. I'm an overthinker, everything in my life. But when it comes to my portfolio, I don't overthink it. I just do it, because the more you stare at it, you're never going to finish. That's a fact. So just keep that in mind. When you do your portfolio, it's okay if you go through rounds of feedback and then you say, okay, this is working, this is not working, so I can change on my portfolio. But if someone says they don't, just one person says that they don't like it, please do not delete your portfolio and start from scratch, because it's not going to help you out. It's just going to make you feel even worse. So please don't overthinking, just do it. One thing I do say is don't check portfolios from people that are way higher levels than you, because this is going to make you feel like crap. Trust me, been there, done that. When I was a junior, I used to check like creative director's portfolio, and I was like, Mila, what are you thinking? You know, like they have like shit ton of awards, they have shit ton of projects produced, and you're just a junior. I was like recently graduated from school, and I was feeling like crap. And I was like, okay, don't compare yourself to the CDs. Like you have to check the other juniors' portfolio, because that's your competition. That's the position you're gonna like fight for it, you know? So I stopped doing that, and life became so much easier for me. So please do not overthink it. Look for references before you start your portfolio. Some people like want to use straight up the template that Squarespace offers, which is totally fine, but everyone is doing that, right? And I understand like when you work with a template platform like such as Squarespace or Adobe Portfolio, Cargo Collective, it's a cookie cutter, right? So you're stuck with the platform and the template that it was given. But no, you can definitely customize it. You can put CSS if you're familiar with, or just literally like play around with the format of the portfolio, of the template. But please do, before you start, look for references. Just go after like, you can check like they did a portfolio review once. You can check the students that were there, that they did their work there. You can literally go on LinkedIn. That's my favorite platform, by the way. You can just go to LinkedIn and then you Google for like juniors or whatever, and then you see what they're doing on their portfolio. Just as for reference, please do not copy paste. Sometimes I do get that, like people come to me and they were like, I want this exact portfolio, same font, same color, same everything. I was like, that's literally copy pasting. And I refuse to do that. So please don't be one of those creatives. Be unique, try to customize and personalize your template. But please do look for references before you start. This is going to help you so much. You have no idea. Don't be afraid of the no. That's going to happen when you send your portfolio away. I have so many no's. It's part of the industry. Unfortunately, you do get used to the no. But then when you do get the yes, it's the best feeling ever. So please don't be afraid of the no. Sometimes you're going to send emails. They're not going to reply. And it's okay. They're busy people. Don't hate them. You know, you can definitely send a follow-up. Totally fine. And if you don't get the position, don't think it's about you. Maybe they just found someone that has that little one thing that they needed. That's it. But the problem is not you. So don't go punish yourself. But please do not be afraid of the no. As I said, don't compare yourself to the others. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's pretty straightforward, that one. It's okay to not have produced work. And I know this is something that most young creatives feel bad about, because they're like, they're not going to hire me. I don't have any produced work. So one thing I do say is they know you don't have produced work. They're not expecting you to be like, just left college, just left school. And they're not expecting you to have like award-winning work. They're not expecting you to have shit ton of produced work. So please do not punish yourself with this. But they do need someone that like, they're looking for an art director. Do they know how to comp? How do they treat typography? Do they know like how to craft something from scratch? So they're looking for those special talents that you can bring to the team. So whether you have produced work or not, it's irrelevant when you're a recent grad. So they definitely are looking for what you can bring to the team. When I was, ooh, I think someone needs to go on mute, please. Oops. No idea. Okay. So when I was graduating Miami Art School, that's where I went to art school. I so desperately wanted to land a job like right away. And I don't know why. I thought I wanted to go to BBDO in Brazil, which is like basically a school. Like you learn so much there, and it's pretty hard to get there. So what I did was, they have Volkswagen. So I definitely needed to comp a car. So what I did to my portfolio was, I only had cars. I only had a section with cars. Because I was like, okay, if I know how to crop car and place the car and play around with lighting and shadow and stuff like that, maybe that's my way in, because they needed an art assistant. And basically an art assistant in Brazil is you crop all day. That's all you do. really, or you do banners. But yeah, we're always stuck with banners. Banners is part of life. But in Brazil, for that specific agency, was just like cropping cars all day. So that's what I did. So I put in a section on my portfolio where I created fake ads for Volkswagen. And I started to stalk a lot of creatives that worked for that account. And eventually I did land the job, and it was like the best thing I've ever did. But I knew they didn't want me to have produced work, even though they were BBDO. So what I did was like, I have to be really good on Photoshop. So that's what I was spending my time doing it. So keep that in mind. Again, don't feel bad about yourself. It's okay not to have produced work. And one thing I did learn with PIM My Portfolio is that even chief creative officers need PIM portfolios. So when you think I'm a junior, only junior needs a website, wrong. Even CTOs need a portfolio, because that's not the majority of my clients, but that's a big chunk of clients are CTOs. So even they need portfolios. So that's good. You know, it made me feel better in the end. You know, it's like, okay, even they need it. So that's cool. And you will be ghosted, as I said. So again, it's okay. It's part of the business in the industry. We're going to get ghosted. But one thing I do say, like, don't send mean emails to people if they don't reply. Okay. There must be like a number of factors why people did not reply to your email. They got busy. They opened the email and something happened. They forgot. Or they literally don't know how to say no anymore. Because imagine being a recruiter, the amount of no's that they have to say, it's kind of depressing, you know? So I used to don't like them in the beginning, but then I was like, okay, it's not their fault. It's a lot, you know? One time I was talking with a recruiter from Ogilvy, New York, and she said that one day she got 173 emails for a position. Imagine seeing 107. This gives me anxiety attack just by thinking about it. I cannot handle all that amount of emails. So it is hard. So whenever you send an email to a recruiter and they don't reply, don't go hating on them. It's okay. But you can send like a follow-up email a week later or like 4 days later. It's okay, but please be nice in the email, because sometimes I get nasty emails from people if I ghost them for like 2 days, or sometimes even for 2 hours. So please be nice to everyone. That's all I have to say. But now I'm going to be sharing tips by actually portfolio. So again, if you do have questions, you can drop them in the chat or save it for later, but please do come with questions because I love them a lot. Go after feedback. So let's say you have a portfolio, right now, currently, and you're thinking of deleting it because, well, you woke up feeling mad, angry at it, but don't do that. Before you delete your portfolio, go after feedback. You can send it to me. You can send it to a colleague. You can send it to a mentor, your teachers, even your mom. My mom is my greatest, like, she's the best creative director there is. She's not in the industry, but she really knows how to give feedback. So I always send it to my mom. So make sure you go after feedback, talk to like 10 people, go on portfolio reviews, but definitely go around of feedback before you delete your portfolio, because that way you know like what project people are liking the most, what if they're like happy with this and they think this needs a little change, or what projects are not, people are definitely not liking it. So it's a way for you to test out the waters. When I came to New York in 2016 for my internship, I was like, I need to go back to New York. I'm destined to be here. So I was like, okay, I'm going to show my portfolio and see what's up, New York. So I remember a week at the end of my internship program, I went to 7 different agencies, and it was like very mentally exhausting, but it was so good because I remember the end of the week, I was like, okay, I know how to come back to New York. I'm going to go back to Brazil, work on the feedback, and then I'll come back to New York. So what I did was I created a Word doc. I still have that. It's hilarious the way I wrote it, but I still have that Word doc. So there's like, I organized by agency and then the creative, and I put all the feedback I got. And then like I was saying, okay, oh, they really do hate this project. So like I was removing and stuff like that. But it was really nice for me to learn like how the industry worked in New York, because I was used to Brazil, for example, and it's pretty different. Doesn't sound like it, but it is. So for me, it was pretty great. And then when I pimped my portfolio again, I came back in 2017. Yeah, it took a while to get a job, but I landed a job here, but it was worth it. So definitely go after feedback before like thinking you suck, because we tend to do that. A recruiter in never spends 2 minutes on a website, which it is ridiculous because it's not even the length of a case study. Some recruiters say they stay longer. Some recruiters, they barely stay for more than 30 seconds, which is kind of rude. Let's be honest, I work so much on the portfolio for them to stay 30 seconds. Like, how rude is that? But it's okay. As I said, the first 5 seconds count. But that said, when a recruiter spends an average of 2 minutes on a website, and that's not even the case study length, you do have to know that you're not just going to put the case study there. You're going to put like pieces to support the campaign. So if they don't have the time to walk through the case study, at least they're seeing other parts of the campaign. So details like that makes a huge difference when the recruiter is seeing your portfolio. Because sometimes I get portfolios where there's not even the name of the project or the agency they worked for. It's basically the case study. And it's like, hey, you figure it out for yourself. I'm like, that's so boring, because like I hate case studies. I really do. I don't know if you guys love it, but I cannot stand case studies. They're the same thing over and over again. So I jump the case studies. I go straight up to the pieces that support. So it's like a social campaign. I see the post. I see the posters. If there's an activation, I see about it. If it's really interesting, then I'll go to the case study, but that's not the case like 90% of the time. So that's why we have to make the recruiter stay on our portfolio. So please pay attention to everything I'm about to say. And then, yeah, please come with questions again. Think mobile too. A lot of people are not thinking mobile. I check portfolios and I'm like, okay, it's beautiful on desktop, but then mobile is a mess. The thing is, when the pandemic started, and I hate bringing up the pandemic, is depressing, but when the pandemic started, my portfolio only had like 3% of views on mobile, which was like, yeah, it's just 3%, whatever. But then when the pandemic, like boom, like 37% of people started checking my portfolio on mobile. And I was like, oh, Camilla, this is eye-opening fact. So I started to think mobile for everything. So now when I see a portfolio, I definitely check on mobile because sometimes everything's overlaid. And then when you try to click a link, it's not going because it's like there must be a layer on top of it. So things like that, make sure your website is responsive. And when I say responsive, is that it works for all types of screen sizes. So it's pretty small, tablet. Not everyone checks on tablet though, but then mobile. So keep that in mind. But please think mobile. When I do say, when I put that mobile, a lot of people on websites, for example, they don't enable the lightbox feature. So the lightbox feature is when you click on an image and it expands. So the thing with a lot of students, and I'm saying students because they usually you guys usually like to upload a slideshow. So it's like the copy is part of the image. And for mobile, that does not perform well because lightbox does not work for mobile. So if you don't enable lightbox for desktop, depending on the platform you're using, it's not going to let me zoom in. So you're going to basically have like a chunk of copy inside of image and definitely not responsive. So please make sure like when you do not upload things like that with image like slideshows, do not do that. Like you grab from your keynote presentation and you drop it there. Don't do that because it doesn't perform well on mobile. And also like live text is way better for the screen. So do not put as image. Create an easy to navigate website. So when I say that, it's basically the easiest navigation ever. So you have your name up on the top and then on the right or at the bottom, like below the name, you need to have like your about page link so people can click and jump to the page. You can have your resume there. You can have the home button so people can click and go back to the home page or the contact or even like your email and stuff like that. You can have that up on the top, but that's what I call an easy to navigate website. It's when people easily find everything on your website. Sometimes I get a website that the person wants to be funny, and I'm like, I don't feel like being funny now. But then like the cursor becomes like icon. And then I was like, okay, sometimes my browser does not like that. Or they put their about page, mixed it up with the thumbnails of the project pages. But like, I was like, I'm lazy. I don't want to go there. So like, just make sure like the more like, as I said, the 5 seconds count. So if I go on your portfolio and I don't even see your name, I'm like, oh, lazy. Or like, if I don't easily see like the information that I need to find, they're just going to skip to another one. And I speak that, I don't do that. but I have a lot of recruiters that work with me and that I like just chatting. They do say that they get lazy. They're not going to hunt down your about page. If it's a crazy navigation and whatever, they're going to like give up pretty easily. So please, like, easy navigation is the way to go. Choose the best platform for you. So I have my favorites. Some people might not agree, but let me know. I do like Squarespace. ReadyMag is I really do like ReadyMag. The only problem with ReadyMag is that it's not responsive to mobile. So if you build a website on desktop, you literally have to build from scratch for mobile. That's for me the only downside. But other than that, they do amazing transitions and animations, which is pretty cool. Cargo Collective is starting to be my favorite one, actually. They just launched Cargo 2 like 2 years ago, and they keep launching new blank templates with like wireframes that you can play around with, which is pretty cool. And then the Adobe Portfolio, the only reason why I like Adobe Portfolio is because it's free if you have Adobe Cloud. But other than that, it's not a good template platform, because for a design company, they lack a lot of for design. So that's the only downside. There's Wix. You know, I sometimes like Wix. I sometimes do not like Wix. It's like a love and hate relationship, but Wix is good. It's affordable for all like currencies. So that's good. They do have like more than 500 templates. So you can definitely play around with and not follow a template guide, which is amazing. And then there's WordPress. If you know like a little bit of CSS and HTML, that's definitely a good way for you to explore. But from all of those here, Squarespace do offer 50% off for students, which I think it's a plus, because let's be honest, it's very expensive. So if you are a student and you have a student email, make sure to bug Squarespace, because they can give you 50% off. But the good thing about all of those platforms is that they do offer a trial. So you don't have to commit to the price right away. So make sure you explore them. They all have like 15 days of trial. So make sure you go there, play around with the template, see if they have the favorite font that you like, or that they do whatever animation you want for the image pops and stuff like that. So make sure you explore the trial before committing to a platform, because it is expensive. And I don't want you guys to waste money if you're not comfortable with the platform, because you need to feel comfortable with the website you are creating, because let's say you have an interview right away and then you don't know how to use it, and then you're going to be disappointed. So you know how things can go. So please make sure you know that. And please do not hate me if you have Behance, but please do not do Behance. Don't get me wrong, I love Behance. I download a lot of free stuff there, so that's good. That's why I like Behance. But when you're creative, you need to have personality on your website. And Behance, everyone will have the same portfolio. You cannot even change the font, you know, like, or the colors. So if you do have Behance, I apologize, please rethink that. And that's not just coming from me. I've seen from experience, recruiters and creatives receive a link from Behance and they do not even click on it. So the person can be like shit ton of awards, amazing work, awesome like pieces, but they're not going to click because it's Behance. They think it's lazy. That's pretty much, I'm being honest with you all, but don't hate me. Behance is cool if you have illustration, like, and you want to share that your illustration that you do on the side, super cool. But as a creative portfolio, that's a no. So just keep that in mind. Thumbnail versus one scroll. There are two types of portfolios. The thumbnail on the left side, and then on the right side, you have the one scroll. The left side is more common when you have the thumbnails, which is like squares, and the portfolio is organized by a grid, or it can be just typography, but it's when you click on the link, it takes you to a different page. So we call that thumbnails. It's when you see like, it can be like 1 square per row, it can be like 5 per row, like it can be like a mess, whatever you wanted. So this is what we call a thumbnail grid, a portfolio. And then on the right side, it's what we call one scroll, is when you see the whole portfolio in a very, very, very long scroll. The right side is pretty common in Brazil, that type of portfolio. And some places in Europe, I do see it, but not all the time, because they say the recruiters, they really don't like that at all. So because they said like it's confusing, sometimes the projects can merge on top of each other. Like, I don't know which one is ending and where is beginning. So, and then on mobile, it's like a very long scroll. So they do not like that, because for them, it's easily for them to locate stuff. Like I have a visual memory. So if I see a portfolio today, I will remember by the thumbnail. But then when you give me a one scroll website, I don't know, my brain does not function well with that. So if you do choose going with one scroll, just keep that in mind. Make sure you have like big images with like the project title, so they know that that's the divider between one project and another. And make sure you have like buttons on the side for them to scroll back to the top instead of like having to scroll manually. Details like that can make the experience way better. So keep that in mind. Don't include too many projects. So when you are a student, I usually suggest like 6 projects is a good number for portfolios. But when you go on with your career, I would suggest like 12 to 15 tops. That's the amount of projects. 2 years ago, I got this lovely client and he wanted 35 project pages on his portfolio. And I was like, oh my God, 35? That was the longest pimp in the history of pimp. It took me a while to get that done because he was a very detailed client. But I was like, nobody's going to check 35. And he was like, on a bed. And I was like, okay. So I checked his analytics, his Google Analytics, and like basically just like 5 pages people click on, because that's what recruiters usually do. They usually select 3 projects that they feel like has a connection to the role they're looking for. So they usually select 3 pages, or they usually go like Russian roulette. They click whatever they see in front of them, like they choose randomly, or they ask you to walk you through the projects that you like, but they're never going to see the 12 projects on your book. They're never going to see 35 pages. They're never. Like maybe 1 out of 10 can do that, but pretty rare. So keep that in mind. Like 6 projects is a good number. Now, I know some of you might ask me in the end, like what kind of projects they want to see. So when you're a student, it's basically pretty much a mix, right? You want to show like you can do long copy. You want to show that you know how to do headlines. That's amazing for copywriters. Have a section for just beautiful headlines, like very old school. They do like headlines. If you're an art director, make sure you have a project where you have like typography is the main piece of the campaign, so they know how you treat typography or how you choose the type. Definitely like comp. If you know how to comp, do it up. If you know how to illustrate or take photos or like even 3D, that's a plus. Make sure you put those things in your portfolio, because it's nice for them to know that you know more than what the task was asked, you know? So please make sure you know that. Definitely have an integrated campaign. That's always good to have. An activation is good. I do a lot of activations at McCann. It is insane the amount of activations we have to think through. But yeah, activation is cool. You don't have to put banners, let's be honest. Who likes that, you know? But like a social campaign or a digital campaign is nice. So a little mix of everything, it's good, and that's what they want to see on your portfolio. So definitely like sign up for the award season for students, put that on your portfolio, because it's a good way for you to show variety of work that you can do. Have a short description about the project. So usually I love that when people, I appreciate that actually, when people put like a small blurb of copy underneath the project page. So you see like the project title, and then right underneath you have the project description explaining like the insight, the background, what did you do, what was your role, the agency you worked for, and obviously team credits. I love when people give credits to the team. That's my favorite part, because it shows like, not that you are a team player, but it shows that you care and then you respect the work of the others. So I do like that, but not mandatory to have. But the short description can literally be like 5 to 6 lines, like a long paragraph, but don't go more than that. The reason why is because strategists now, they have portfolio. So it's become a thing. A lot of my clients are strategists, and they do have a lot of copy on their portfolio. So what makes you stand out from them is the amount of copy you put on your portfolio, because they're going to show the final results. So they're going to show the TV spot, the activation, and whatever. So it's going to be similar to your portfolio. What makes the difference between you and theirs is that they have more copy. So they're going to put the background, the insight, the target, the audience, results, boring stuff. So that's what they're going to put on their portfolio. So whereas a creative, just put the insight or the background, and that's it. So try to reduce the amount of copy that you have on your portfolio, because they do not read that. So please make sure to be succinct. When I was in ed school, I'm not super old, but when I was in ed school, Twitter was a thing, right? It's like, wow. And then my teachers, they were like, how do you sell this idea in 140 tweets? So basically, I grew up professionally with that in mind. So if you cannot explain an idea in 140 tweets, it's because something is off with the idea. So keep that in mind when you're writing your blog. But the people need to understand that the idea like right away. So keep that in mind. To password or not to password your portfolio is that when you're a student and you password protect your portfolio, it's sketchy, right? There's something weird, like you just graduated school. Why are you password protecting your portfolio? And Camilla, I'm gonna find out, because everyone always uses the same password. It's like portfolio 123, create 123. So it's always like that. Trust me, it's easy. But do not password the whole website, because when you password protect the whole website, we're not going to be able to see your about page. And then you're going to add another layer for me to reach out to you and ask for the password. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to skip, because I think it's annoying that I have to email you the password. But if you do have to password protect something, just do it in specific pages. And then when you send the email, you can put the password there. But don't make them ask for it, because they're not going to do it. I'm being honest, so they're not going to do it. Let's say you do work with pharma. A lot of people work with pharma. They do have to password protect the whole website. So one thing I suggest is make sure the about page is your home page, and then you password protect the work tab. That way, at least they have your resume and your contact info instead of having to ask for that as well. So just keep that in mind. If you do have to password protect it, just do it in specific pages, but do not do in the whole website. It's super sketchy, super sketchy. This one is easy. Just add your title to your website. Sometimes people don't, like I click on a portfolio and I think it's an art director because the way they presented the work, but as a matter of fact, it's a copywriter. And I was like, why did not put the password, your title there? So it's like such a small detail. And I was assessing the portfolio with my art director lenses, not copywriter. So super easy, add your title. And if you don't know what you are right now, it's a very philosophical question, but please do not put creative thinker. That's not a role. We don't hire for creative thinker, we hire for designer, art director, or copywriter, but creative like thinker, it's not a position. So please don't put that. Like recruiters, they do not like when they see that. It's funny, it's a joke between us, but don't put that, Treat the about page with love. That's my favorite page on a portfolio, is the about page. Whoops, sorry, something fell here. The about page needs to be treated as your page about you. Duh, that's easy. But people usually, they just drop an image and like, I'm an art director, here's my resume, bye. So boring. So the recruiters here, at least like I've talked with some recruiters in Europe, and some said that as well. But here in the US is a plus. They love the about page because it's a page where you can be funny, you can be you. So like on the about page copy, I don't want to know if you're a team player, because like that's the stuff, the boring information you leave for the interview, right? But I want to know like who you are as a person. Like, what do you like to do on the side? Like, do you have any quirky hobbies and stuff like that? Like, I like McDonald's. So if you go to my about page, it's a photo of me with a McDonald's background. And then on my about copy, I'd explain all my favorite McDonald's meals. But that's very Camilla, because when you work with me every Friday, it's Mac Day. So the package like is a perfect branding for myself. But like, I want to know if you have 7 dogs, what are the name of your dogs? So stuff like that makes me want to meet you. Like, oh yeah, that person is cool, so I definitely want to see cool stuff on the about page. Some people like to do like 5 paragraphs. You don't have to go that long. Like 1 big paragraph is enough. I think this page is pretty cool for copywriters. I usually love reading everything on about page portfolio. That makes me so hyped to read it, because the copywriters are hilarious. That's my favorite portfolio, by the way. I read the copywriters. So make sure your about copy is quirky and unique to yourself. You can have a cool photo, you can have a GIF. Some people like to put a collage of photos, but make sure you have a nice creative photo there. Some people like to hire someone to do like fancy headshots. That's very LinkedIn, like that's very financial people, you don't have to go like fancy headshot. Like that's not how creative people, like we don't do that. So please just keep that in mind. I don't want you to waste money on a headshot. Like they don't care about that. Definitely have a tab for them to click and open your resume. I know it sounds pretty old school, but recruiters, they love resumes. I know it's weird, but they have a thing for resumes. So make sure you have a nice resume. You don't have to go over the top with the creativity on your resume. Some people like to put like a background and then like icons and images and stuff like that. Nowadays, less is better. So don't go all crazy over the top with your resume. And then right underneath, you can have the experience column and then awards if you have some. If you don't worry. And then you can have the education that's important and social media. So that's how I imagine the perfect about page. Some people like to break that. So they have like just the about tab. And then right next to they have the resume. So when you click on that is the experience awards education section. I like to merge everything in one page because it's like less click through for the recruiter to go through, you know? So like click on about page, I see everything I want. I have the resume, I have this, boom, done, I'm good. When the more tabs you add, it's more work for them, you know, let's make their lives easier. I'm almost done, I swear to God, because I like to talk. But check your image resolution, because when you are an art director and your images are pixelated, that's a major no, right? Because it's gonna sound like me as an art director assessing an art director's portfolio and the image is pixelated. I'm like, bro, don't you know how to like export? So that's gonna tell a lot about you as a creative like art director. So make sure you export the images with the good resolution, and make sure and be nice. Share that with the copywriters, because every time I work on a copywriter's portfolio, they send me screenshots because they didn't get the files. They do screenshots because the art directors weren't being nice to them. So please, I'm an art director. Sometimes I know I can be mean, but please be nice with the copywriters and share your images with them, okay? Share the files, don't be mean. Because when I look into a portfolio from a copywriter and they have a long copy and that print piece is pixelated, I'm gonna be like, what? Like, no, you know, like it's not gonna be good for me to read your copy like that. So overall, just check your images resolution. Have a personal domain. A lot of people are going to say, is that necessary? And I'm going to say, yes, it is. And it's cheap. Sometimes you can buy one for like 99 cents a month. Squarespace offers a domain for free for a year. Wix, depending on the plan, offers forever a domain for free. So things like that, you see it as an investment, because I bought CamilaChapina.com when I was in college. I was about to graduate college, like end of 2013. I bought Camila.com. And that's been the best investment, you know? So keep that in mind, because this domain is going to go with you forever. And when you're selecting your domain, don't be creative, you know, like don't be funny, because like usually people don't type CamilaChapina.com right away. They put Camila Chapina on Google and then everything will pop with my name. So if you try to go like tropical Brazilian creative, they're not going to type that, never. And the SEO and Google search, they're not going to easily put you up there. So please make sure you use your name and your last name. If you have a common last name, use your middle name, but then when you do that, make sure everywhere else has the same like branding. So like I have two last names. I don't even remember the last one. I only use Chapina. So my Instagram, my LinkedIn, my Medium blog, my portfolio, my Spotify, like everywhere is Camila Chapina only, because the more you have that, Google is going to like, it's going to be better for the Google search. So everyone that types Camila Chapina, there's only going to be me there. Although I did find other Camila Chapinas out there, but you get the gist. Vimeo versus YouTube. I like Vimeo because Vimeo does not compress the video quality. As of YouTube, sometimes they do compress the video quality and they suggest weird stuff in the end. So I do not recommend that at all. Obviously, because people can comment on and stuff like that. And I just like Vimeo because it's also a portfolio for videos. And then it's like a nice network. If you pay for the Vimeo Pro, you can like customize the embedded link. You can change the button colors, which I don't see people doing that, but sometimes people do. So it's nice. You can password protect the video if it's not ready to be out there and stuff like that. As of YouTube, it's out there. You know, like you're going to get ads. And then if you pause the YouTube, you're going to have those nasty cards there. It's too much. It's like polluted. But that's nothing wrong with having YouTube. Don't get me wrong. I just like Vimeo more. I don't even pay for the Pro account. I just go like with the flow. I do reach the limit every week though. But besides that, Vimeo is good. You don't have to share all your social media. Sometimes I get on a portfolio and I see like everything, like literally everything they have. You don't have to share, just share what is relevant to you. So like, I like taking photos, so my Instagram is open. So I put my Instagram there. I used to write blogs. So I had my Medium there. I have to take that off. Definitely LinkedIn, that's a must. Please do have your LinkedIn link there, like the icon, my email, and I think that's it for Camilla. But some people like to put everything, like Facebook, TikTok, Spotify, my Snapchat, and I'm like, oh my Lord. And then when you click, everything's private. And I'm like, why am I gonna click on your Instagram to invite you to stalk you? You know, that's not very nice. So please make sure you, when you share the social media, is because it's relevant to you. I keep seeing a lot of people putting TikTok. And at first I was like, no, but now if you know how to do a cool TikTok, like 30, I keep seeing amazing things on TikTok. So if you're a creative that knows how to do a really good TikTok, like that requires a script, you know? So I'm intrigued. So I like seeing TikTok now. I know I changed the game. Now I do love TikToks when I see on a portfolio, but if you don't post, don't put it, you know, stuff like that. Keep in mind. And be careful what you share, you know, because the other day I saw Twitter. The girl was so funny. I was like, oh, maybe she do funny tweets. And she was trashing advertising campaigns from like tons of agencies. And I'm like, girl, I had to send her an email. I was like, yo, I'm not a creative, but if I were a creative and I see you posting stuff, you never get hired. So please be careful. Like, don't do that. And she, oh, I never thought about that. I'm like, oh my God. Like when I sign up, I submitted stuff for a green card. And I remember I did like one thing, I talked about a visa. And then when you do the green card, they ask for your social media. And I was like, oh my Lord, I have to go through all my social media and make sure I don't talk bad about visas or the president or anything. So I got like super scared. So I learned my lesson too. So don't share everything on social media. And check for typos. English is not my first language, as you guys know. So I use Grammarly, but even like if English is your first language, doesn't hurt to have Grammarly extension on your Chrome browser. I do that for everything I write. Even my phone has Grammarly. So please make sure you have that there. Sometimes I get a portfolio and it just like sparks red everywhere. And I'm like, oh my God, my Grammarly must be suffering right now because it's like red, 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 red. So please make sure you check for types, especially for copywriters, because yeah, what you do is right. So if I check typos for copywriters, I'm so pay attention on that. So I'm done, guys. Always update your portfolio because you may not be looking for a job, but there's always a job looking for you. That's my mantra, you know. All the best opportunities I got, like I got recently hired at McCann last year. I was not looking for a job. They found me. So please make sure you always update your portfolio because a lot of people leave for last minute. Sometimes I get a client like, I have an interview in 2 days. Can you do it? And I'm like, I cannot say no. They need the job. So Camilla can do it, but sometimes I can't. So please make sure you always update your portfolio. If you produced work, put it on your book right away. First of all, it's good to see, like, it's just good for people to know, like, you're always constantly doing work. You know, some people take a hiatus on their portfolio. So it's like 10 years, I haven't put anything. I was like, oh my God. So please don't be that crazy. Make sure you update your portfolio all the time. Because yeah, this is not supposed to be here. And then I'm done. Questions. This is Pin My Portfolio link. This is my Instagram. I like followers. So please do make sure you follow Pimp on Instagram. And that's my personal email. So whenever you guys have stuff to share, and if you want me to review your portfolio, please make sure you send me. And I love reviewing portfolios, but please don't be mad if I don't reply in 3 business days. Things are wild. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much. And love to have questions now.
That was brilliant. Thank you so much. I think there was about 4 presentations in one there. I think you just we could have spread you over 4 weeks, I think. I'm
sorry, I do talk a lot. I apologize, and I appreciate everyone listening to it.
Fantastic. Yeah, just breathe now. Just
okay. You have no idea how much I talk. It's wild. It's insane.
Cool. Thanks so much for that. What is interesting, I think, as well, is that the third years at the moment have just they're just embarking on a module where it's they're self-branding, they're getting portfolios together and things like that as well. So really, really helpful. But also for the other students as well, you know, we have postgraduate students here as well, who will obviously, you know, be needing to get the portfolio together, get the right stuff in it, you know, be saying the right, doing the right things. But also up and coming first and second years as well, need to be very considerate about that, you know, what's going in there, why it's in there, etc. So yeah, if we open it up to if anyone's got any questions, that would be really good.
Can I kick in with the questions? Because you use a term that we don't use a lot around in the UK.
Oh, good to know. Okay.
It was activation. So we don't use that word a lot here. What do you mean when you say I've done an activation on it, or have an activation on your?
I think it's a stunt that you guys call it there. I think I might be wrong. I need to ask my best friend. Sorry about it. I really thought you guys used the word activation. I apologize. It's basically a stunt. So when you have like, I don't know how to explain that. That's awkward. But like when you do like, I'm trying to find like example of case study that did an activation, but it's basically like if you go out on the street and you see something like an event happen, like flash mob. Let's say a flash mob. That's an example. Flash mob is kind of an activation slash stunt, is when you do something where everyone can see live. That's what we call an activation and stunt. If I think so. That's how I would explain. But that's a great question. Now that's I'm gonna do a research on that for sure.
Thanks, Camila.
I think now I'm intrigued.
Okay. Anyone? Any students got any questions at all, or observations, or
you can put it in the chat if you're shy.
I have a question.
Hi.
Hi. I have two actually.
Oh, okay. I like questions.
How long without a reply from the person interviewing you, like on email or a follow-up meeting? How long without that would you say to just leave it? You know, you didn't get the job.
Usually like, so that's the thing, depends. Like sometimes they reply in 10 days and like, and you even forgot that you sent the email. So it depends on that. But usually like past like 10 days, if they haven't replied, they already found someone, because sometimes at the agency, they do move pretty fast. Like at McKen, it was like less than a week and a half from like in the first contact and getting the job. But then it took 2 months for me to get the visa. That took longer than actually the interview process, but they needed to find someone fast. So the process moved pretty quickly. It really depends on how much they need someone.
Okay.
But don't be sad if they don't, you know, it's annoying.
Yeah, it's just whoever's best suited. My second question is, what is a copywriter? You kept mentioning a copywriter. What's their role in terms of your portfolio review?
So usually for the copywriter, it's pretty much like you need to show like you know how to do a script. So you don't necessarily need to write a script for a TV spot. You don't have to do that for commercial. But let's say you did the case study. I know I don't like case study, but copywriters assessing a copywriter's portfolio, they're gonna see how you build out the script for the case study. Headlines, definitely a must. I know it sounds a little bit like Mad Men, old school, but having a section with pretty big headlines, it's nice. If you don't have an art director to do that for you, which is the case, one time I saw a portfolio where the art director literally grabbed the paper and sketched it out, what they wanted the ad to look like and the headline. I thought that was pretty cool, actually. It was a nice detail because they didn't have an art director. A long copy is good, or a manifest. That's what we usually call a manifesto. And I think that's it. It's pretty much headline, long copy, manifesto, and a good script.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. I think we have questions on the chat. I can read them.
Yeah, there's a really good one from Rebecca. Says, thank you so much for the talk. You've spoken in depth about online portfolios. Do you still see a place for creating physical portfolios? And would this make a refreshing change or just not be appreciated?
I love that. I always have that question. Someone always gives me that question. And when I graduated school, I remember I print out a portfolio and then nobody looked at it. which was pretty bummed because you see in the TV, they walk around with that thing under your arm, like, I want to show my portfolio. But nowadays, unfortunately, they don't. They really just care about the link for the portfolio. I do see sometimes designers, I don't know if you're a designer or like if you're a product designer, having a physical portfolio is nice because then they can see the actually prototype and stuff like that. But when you are a copywriter and an art director, unfortunately, no, because a lot of the pieces that we're doing like TV spots, like case studies. So everything rely on having digital portfolio. Unfortunately, I think it's never going to come back, which is sad.
That is sad, yeah, because that's a good question, because I was wondering that actually. Another question, obviously with regards to portfolios, do you think employers prefer just a PDF or a website or both?
They always prefer the website. Sometimes I do get portfolios like I only have a PDF, and I'm like, but then when you click, they take you to the Vimeo link for the TV spot, and I'm like, it's basically, if you have a portfolio online website, everything is one place. You don't have like click links.
Yeah, true. Great. Okay, anyone else? Feel free to type in the question or.
There's a question for Francisco, because he was asking, hi Camila, thanks for the talk. In terms of having much work on portfolio, can we create and highlight with the best projects? So would that be a solution if you have a lot of work on your portfolio?
Yeah, I do. A lot of people do reels. They call it reels. So when you enter your website, it's like a trailer of like quick snippets of your work. Some people do that, or some people just put everything there. Like, I know I said it like max, but if you want to put 50, you can. Just keep in mind that they're not going to see everything. That's all. So you have like any preferences, usually like 1, 2, 3 is the way to go. Like you put your first 3 favorite projects up on the top, but you can definitely have a section like archive. And then some people put it like work. So like 5 recent produced work there. And then they have a tab called archive. That's where they put everything there. Yeah. So you can definitely like play around with that. That's no wrong answer here.
Camilla, do you give a lot of value to personal projects in portfolios?
Oh, I love it.
Bearing in mind, obviously, students follow a relatively rigid curriculum, even though, you know, that it's their own input into the project. So they're all different. But, you know, if in the middle of a portfolio, a personal project crops up that they've done away from university, you know, do you value that?
I love personal projects. You have no idea how much. My portfolio is a side project. So it started out as like a personal project, and then it became my side hustle. Maybe in the future, my business, who knows? But I love personal projects. I remember when I was in ed school, I had like 5 personal projects, but then it was too much for Camilla to handle. So I have to just select one, and was put my portfolio, thank God. But personal project is the perfect way for you to know, for the agency to see like what you do after like 5 p.m. Like, it's not mandatory, but I think it's so cool to have something that you're passionate about, that you do it on the side. Because yeah, I know my portfolio is advertising, and yes, it is exhausting, but it gives me like so much passion to know that I'm helping the others, and that for me is like amazing. So I want people to also have that feeling when they're doing their personal project. You don't have to help for a social cause. You can even, like, if it's just you painting, amazing, do it for yourself. But definitely put it on your portfolio, because that's one of recruiters' favorite things to see is personal project. Because when you're a student, everyone has the same award brief, right? You get the same brief, so everyone has the same portfolio. What makes you stand out from the rest? It can be the personal project. So make sure you have that. It's my favorite. I love it.
Thanks for that. Anyone else got any questions for Camilla?
I'm just checking all the questions. People are shy today. It's okay.
I know.
Oh, and Mirella asked if Adobe Portfolio is the only platform that's free. The other ones that I mentioned, like Squarespace, is not free, but like Wix is free and ReadyMag is free, but they do have the ads. So you have like banner ads sometimes, and that's not very professionally, but if you don't care for it, it's okay. You can go for free. It's just me saying, because some recruiters, they don't like when they see like ads from Wix on your portfolio. Or ReadyMag, you have like a certain limits of pages when you're free. So you're forced to do the one scroll portfolio. So things like that. But Adobe, it's free for students and Adobe Cloud, so that's good.
Camilla, Bart was asking if when you send the emails to the design studios, do you think they would prefer to see PDF portfolio, personal websites, or both of them? What does
That's a good question.
What people are looking?
Yeah, that's a good question for designers. My best friend, he's a designer, and I did ask him once, how does he send his portfolio? And he said he sends a sample as a PDF, because some designers, like you bid the brands, he likes to do logos, and sometimes you cannot put all the information on your portfolio for NDA reasons. So he does put a PDF as a sample of like the typography, the color schemes and stuff like that. The deep information he cannot put on his portfolio, he created a PDF sample and he sends that via email as well, which I didn't know, but he said that it is important for designers to do that because you cannot share everything on your portfolio. So I thought that was interesting.
Thank you, Camilla.
I think there's a question from Alex. Do personal projects have to do directly with what you're applying for, or can it be anything that shows anything, like literally anything you can think of? And as I said, I know PIMP is related to advertising, so don't use me as an example. But I know like a guy, I was seeing his portfolio and he loves sneakers. He loves sneakers. So what he does is he's a copywriter. He buys like white sneakers and he draws on the sneakers. So he does like crazy illustrations and he puts it on his portfolio because he likes doing that. There's nothing related to like, he's a copywriter, but he likes to illustrate. And now Wyden Kennedy hired him and now he's selling his sneakers. Isn't it wild? So that guy is pretty cool. I want to buy his sneakers, but now his prices went up. But yeah, so he started off as just catching on his shoes. So it doesn't necessarily need to be with anything you're applying for. So don't worry about that. But yes, it can be anything, seriously. There's a person that she likes walking dogs. So she creates like profiles for the dogs on her portfolio. And I was like, okay, I like dogs. It's funny. So as I said, anything is up for the table, basically. Do you think we should also mention the time frame of our projects? I don't think it's necessary. Like if you're a producer, it's okay because it shows like how fast you finish the project. But as a creative, it's not necessary because sometimes, like seriously, one time I had a project that lasted almost 1.5 years to be done. I was like, that's embarrassing. I don't think they want to know that took 1.5 years to make this shit. So no, I wouldn't put it on there unless you're a producer. It makes more sense. I think Alex has. Oh shit, that's cool, Alex. See, sneakers are dope. So whoever has a personal project with sneakers, send my way because I love it. So yeah, for sure. I think we're done with the questions on the chat, unless I missed something. I apologize.
I think you've covered all those really well.
And again, you guys have my personal email. I'm going to put it on the chat, but please be nice with the request because I do sometimes. I am taking like 5 days to reply, but I reply eventually. Things are busy, crazy. Yeah.
Great. Okay. And as anyone else, should we have one last question from someone, and then we'll round up? I think one last question. Anyone? Okay.
No, people are shy. Definitely going to get emails.
I'll ask one last question. So, why did you move to New York specifically?
That's a great question. I still don't know. I always thought I was going to end up in Italy. I don't know. It was but then I came here for an internship and I just loved the city. And then when I came back, I came to the internship with my personal project. I was pretty small at the time. And then a recruiter was like, if you come to New York, I think there's great potential for it. And I was like, maybe. And then when I came, I didn't have a job. I was like, it was crazy. I didn't have a job, but I did have in my portfolio. So I was like, maybe I have to focus this time to make it work. And then maybe I'll find a job with it. And then it was like 4 months just working with Pin My Portfolio as a business. And then I found a job. And then now New York, Pin My Portfolio is doing great. So I think it was meant to be. So who knows?
And now you're talking to Coventry students. So
I love it.
Only gets better, you see.
I know. Hope just go up from here.
Absolutely. Okay,
Sorry.
fantastic. Thank you so much, Camilla, for your time. I know how busy you are.
Oh, I had one question.
Oh, hi.
Just interrupt, Bart. Why not? There you go.
I think one of the lectures mentioned that you were part of like the NAD judge.
Yes,
Is that right?
yes.
All right. Do you have any advice? Because one of our modules is about doing the brief for the NAD.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any advices for us? What
Yes.
the judges look for or something?
I was a judge last year, and what I saw is like a lot of outside of the box thinking. Usually when we were students, the good thing about the student projects is that there's no budget, right? But sometimes we do go over the top. We think we can create like this amazing AR experience. Like sometimes the students can go wild. I would say don't go super wild, because we have to keep in mind that I would treat it as an agency brief. I would say, okay, I work at this agency, this is the brief. So I'm not gonna go wild, because sometimes the wildest ideas, they're never gonna happen. And I'm tired of seeing crazy ideas from students, because it's frustrating, because when you guys go to the agency, that's not gonna happen. I was like that. I used to go like crazy with the ideas for the award briefs. And when I went to the agency, I'm like pitching ideas to my boss, and he was like, this is not a student work. I was like, damn. So definitely like don't go crazy with the ideas. Last year I saw very weird ones. So I would say like stay close to the brief. Don't overthinking too much, and don't do a lot of like pieces. You know, sometimes we think we need to, when we sell an idea, we have to do activations, like everything, right? Like 360. Sometimes that's not the way to go. So try to think different from that for sure.
I have one more question
Hello.
following up. So like, you know, when you get the briefs from the clients on the NAD,
Mm-hmm.
do they do they review it after? Like I don't know how to say it. Are they part of the judging process as well?
Yes, it is. We always have walk through the brief together. And we get a project, we discuss the project. But first, I assess the campaigns by myself. And then there's the short list. We get together in a room, virtual room with everyone. Then we see the brief with the clients, and then we judge again for the finalists as a team. I like that part better, actually, to be honest.
Is there like a certain amount of shortlisted projects, or does it?
They don't have a limit. So let's say
Oh.
there's like 50. They don't put a limit for the short list. So which I think it's good, or no, because then there's more. But I think it's good for the students, because like not everyone treats shortlist as a good thing. I think being shortlisted is great. As far as like first, second, or third, I think shortlist is amazing, because there was a lot. I saw a lot of work last year. It took me like 2 weeks to see everything, and it was a lot. So if you got shortlisted for the D&D, that's amazing too. So don't feel bad about it.
And I have one more question, but it's a bit abstract. So for example, if you win the pencil,
Yeah.
do you think the project this project has to be in the portfolio, or
Not
do you think we can?
necessarily. Not necessarily. No, I won awards when I was a student, but yeah, I was proud of it. But for me, it didn't make sense put it on my portfolio, because I didn't want, it was like crazy ideas that I know it wasn't gonna never be produced at an agency, and I didn't want them to see it that way. So I didn't put it on my portfolio, for example. You don't have to. As long as you put it on your about page, it's fine. It's okay.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah, good questions. Thank you for that. Okay, so thank you again, Camilla, for your time. I know you're really busy. It'd be great to have you come and do a talk again at some point.
Yeah, I love to. I love talking.
Really appreciate it. I really do.
Yeah.
A really brilliant way to kick off Creative Voices this year. It won't get any better, I'm sure.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it a lot.
That's all right. No problem. And yeah, you be prepared to be bombarded with.
I'm already ready. I was born ready.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day there.
And you as well.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks everyone for turning up. I think you'll agree that she was absolutely fantastic. Yes, and we'll see you next week at Creative Voices, but I will see second years tomorrow, and we'll see everyone else during the week between us. Okay.
Just a quick reminder, Mark, because on Friday we have Future Proof. So it's for the whole 3 years. So don't forget about all the brilliant speakers that are coming on Friday too. So yeah, come over, guys.
Of course.
What time is it?
Oh, young man.
We have